for coming out tonight. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Chris Withero. I am the band director here at the middle school. On stage are our fifth graders, the first year we have band here at the middle school. But before we listen to them, we have some very traditional housekeeping items to attend to. First and foremost, we are here to listen to your students play, so if you would please silence your phones and ringtones. Mine is still Africa by Toto. It hasn't changed. I know you were wondering, either. So if you could silence those, that would be fantastic. Number two, the doors are currently sort of being worked on, so they will, this side will stay open. If you have a young child that needs attending to, you can take them out. That way you can still listen to the concert. I know my daughter would probably be one of them. And last but not least, the transition between the two groups is incredibly efficient. So if you would quietly stay sitting through all of that, we'll listen to the seventh graders as soon as we're done. So on stage is the fifth grade, the first year of band. We go from, how do I open my case? Really, how do I open my case? To being able to play 3 full-length songs for you. The growth curve is ridiculous in terms of how fast we get better. And the nice part about having the 7th graders here at the same concert is to see how much growth yet after 2 years that we can make. So our first piece for you tonight by the 5th grade band is Ode to Dream. Before we get to our second piece for the evening, I know obviously the lights are turned off, but if you would just take a moment to appreciate with me the beautiful new space that we have here at the middle school. It is everything, almost everything is brand new, or if not new, refurbished in such a way that you could not tell it was ever old. For example, the concrete underneath the stairs, when they ripped out the old seats, they polished and cleaned and scrubbed that you would never know that it was ever used for the last math number of years. Don't ask me to do any harder math than that. So at the end of the concert, we'll make sure to turn the lights on. My personal favorite part is the slabbing in the back. It's just a beautiful space that we get to use. I was joking with them earlier that when I'm up there, my view doesn't really change all that much because it's just a black curtain. So you guys are lucky you get to look around at all the pretty stuff. Our second piece for tonight is one you probably won't recognize unless you've been to a band concert before. It's called Power Rock. Before we get to our final piece, there will just be a very quick transition over to the 7th graders, and we will continue on our way. Now I know it's the moment we've all been waiting for. You may have heard it on recorder a lot. Now we get to hear it on genuine grade A band instruments. This is Thema Variations on Hot Cross Buns. On stage is now the 7th grade band, older, wiser, more mature. I knew I'd get you that one. But before we do any of that, I would like to introduce my student teacher, Mr. Eli Cole. He has been with us. He's kind of been splitting his time between the high school and the middle school, so for the last month or so, he's been working on the 7th graders with their first piece, Fire and Fury. We kind of worked on picking it, but beyond that, he has worked it up pretty much since day one, and I've just been kind of in the background helping him more than anything else. So please enjoy Fire and Fury, conducted by Eli Cole. All right, before we play our final piece for this evening, I would like to extend a huge thank you to our administrators who are here tonight, our principal Peggy Reynolds and our assistant principal Bennett Apple. I would like to extend a thank you to the custodial staff who help keep our building and space super clean and nice. And obviously to you, the parents who continue to support music in our schools. And a great way to celebrate nice events like this, ice cream. Not going to tell you where. I like birthday cake remix from Cold Stone, but that's just me. Our final piece for this evening is a piece called Rock, Paper, Scissors. Enjoy, and thank you for coming. All right. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Chris Witherow. I am the band director here at Marshall Middle School. Now, before we get started with tonight's performance, we do have a couple very traditional housekeeping items. First and foremost, we are here to listen to your students perform their music. As awesome as I'm sure your ringtone is, we want to hear them play. So you can please silence your phones. And for those of you who were dying to know, mine is still Africa by Toto. If you have a young child that needs attention, these doors are getting worked on so they don't stay open kind of as they used to. But if you'd like to attend to that child, we can kind of keep those doors open so you can still enjoy the performance. I know my daughter would fall into that category. Last but not least, there is a very fast transition for the 8th grade, so in between. So we ask that you stay for both performances, and then we will continue rocking and rolling. Up first is 6th grade band, the second year of band here at the middle school. We have 3 pieces for you this evening. Our first is titled Ancient Hunters. Our second piece for you this evening is entitled Embolden. I had bought this one a couple years ago, and when you when you listen to music online, it's often played by professional recording musicians, and it's obviously like, oh wow, that's perfect and all of this stuff. And then oftentimes when you get in front of 11 and 12-year-olds, you're like, huh, okay, yeah. However, this piece is unique because for whatever reason, the recording that they had online completely didn't have a certain instrument part. I can't remember which one off the top of my head, maybe like the trombone part, for example. So the first year I ever did this piece, it was like, oh, what is that? What is that? And then I listened back and kind of found that they didn't have it in the recording altogether. So that sometimes those are happy surprises. So, long story short, even professionals make mistakes. This is Embolden. last piece, I'd just like to remind you that we're going to have a very quick transition up to the 8th graders, and then we will continue our concert. Our last piece the 6th graders will play for this evening is entitled Shockwave. All right, thank you for your patience. On stage are our 8th graders. Older, wiser, more mature? Maybe. Our first piece for you this evening is entitled America, Land of Liberty. In many, what feels like many years ago, we often did a separate Veterans Day celebration here at the middle school. And this was sort of the traditional piece that the band played in remembrance of Veterans Day. And it's a great piece kind of on its own, so I kept it. So every 8th grade class since I've started here at Marshall Middle School has played at the first concert, America. So this is America. It is titled Afterburn. However, I will not be the one conducting it. So for this first quarter, and I guess into second quarter now, between myself and Larry Creation at the high school, we've had a student teacher. His name is Eli Cole. He comes to us from SDSU. So what we did was he was doing some things at the first concert, and then for us, we kind of split things. So we picked a piece, I handed it out, and then pretty much everything after that has been up to him. I've been kind of in the background, just kind of, him and I have been working out different ways to rehearse the group, kind of working on different things. So without further ado, here is Eli Cole. All right, so before we play our final piece for this evening, a couple last-minute announcements. Number one, my personal favorite, everything on stage needs to get back into the band room. They all have an assignment. It's super quick, super easy. And to reward them, I'm pretty sure they all deserve ice cream. So, location is entirely up to you. I am definitely preferential to Birthday Cake Remix from Cold Stone, but dealer's choice. Couple thank yous. Obviously, thank you Bennett Apple and Peggy Reynolds for the amazing administrativeness that they do. Thank you to the custodians. I don't know if administrativeness is a word. I don't really think about it, but I think they get it. To the custodians who keep this space nice and looking clean. They were in here working even while we were rehearsing, making sure everything looks spotless. And last but certainly not least, thank you to the parents who continue to support music in Marshall. Our final piece for this evening is entitled Common. Thank you all so much for coming. I'm going to go turn the lights on for you. Have a great evening.